For the average human body, it's estimated that about 38 to 40 trillion of bacteria live in and on it. That's kind of crazy, right? So my name is ChefBoyRDN, and I want to welcome you to the ChefBoyRDN Podcast. Now, if this is your first time here, get ready to strap in and learn something new. If you are returning, sous chef, you already know how we do. We're going to talk all about pro and prebiotics today. I want to start out by talking about gut health in general. I get a lot of questions. People ask me about the gut, the microbiome, and what roles it plays in the body. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're also going to talk about the difference between pre and probiotics, how they are beneficial, how you use them. Of course, we are going to do Chef Boy RDN Tries It. And we have our vitamin of the week all coming up on the Chef Boy RDN podcast. So strap in. Okay, so before we talk about pre and probiotics, we got to take a step back and talk about the thing that they benefit, which is the microbiome, which is affectionately known as the gut. So growing up, when I heard gut, this is what I thought about, right? But it's kind of the inside. It's what those bacteria live in, our intestines. It's kind of what we call our guts. So we're going to talk about that. Now, when it comes to the microbiome, these are bacteria, literally trillions of bacteria, different colonies, meaning different types of bacteria that live in our intestines. And our body needs them. It's a symbiotic relationship. We help them by giving them a place to live and food to eat. And they help us in a lot of different areas within our body's systems. So they obviously help aid in digestion. That's what most people know pro and prebiotics for, is for their digestive properties. They also aid in the nervous system. They aid in the immune system. They actually play up to like 70 to 80% of a role within our immune system. So think about how important they are. And if you think about it, a lot of our viruses, bacteria, things that enter our body, they enter through our mouth, because it's an opening, and that's where food and other things enter. And so that micro gut biome helps, those good bacteria help to get rid of the bad bacteria and the viruses and things like that. So they play a big role in our immune system. They also play a role in our metabolism overall, so how we break down food and how our body utilizes its energy effectively is our metabolism. Cardiovascular, it helps with that as well. It also helps with our skin health. So when we talk about skin health, there are a lot of bacteria that actually live on the outside of our skin, and that's called our skin microbiome. And so it helps with that, helps with our respiratory system. Of course, it helps with our reproductive and our urinary system, and it also helps with our liver and detoxification. So as you can see, the microbiome plays a bunch of different roles in the body. Now, one other thing about it is, with the microbiome, there are so many other roles that it plays. We really don't know everything that it does, and there's so much research that goes into it, literally like every single day, just to learn more and more about the microbiome. So just keep that in mind as we're talking about pre and probiotics. Now, let's start off talking about probiotics. Probiotics are, well, we have pre and pro. Pre obviously is going to be the thing before, right? Previously. And then pro is going to be the actual thing. So the reason why I say that is because when you think about prebiotics and probiotics are going to actually be the bacteria. Prebiotics are going to be the things that the bacteria eat to sustain life. Okay. So when it comes to probiotics, we're literally talking about actual bacteria. And with that, you can find that in a lot of fermented foods. So things like kimchi, sauerkraut, um, kefir, which is a type of fermented milk, yogurt in general. You can find it in that. You can also find it in fermented pickles, um, fermented pickled vegetables as well in general. You can also find it in fermented drinks like what is it called? Kombucha. I don't know why I couldn't think of it, but you can find it in kombucha. So what it is it's literally living bacteria, but it's the good bacteria that our body needs. And when we eat those things, we're actually replacing those bacteria. So a few years ago, I don't know if y'all remember Activia yogurt. It became a big thing. I say a few years ago, but at this point, we're talking about maybe about 20 years. I don't know, maybe longer. But I just remember the commercials of the Activia, and then it'll show you the arrow going down, and it was like an old lady with short hair. Anyway, and she was talking about going to the restroom. Good times, simple times. That's when the TV had the booty on the back of it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a flat screen. But anyway, with that, the reason why they promoted that yogurt, they promoted it as a help to aid in digestion. And so we know that probiotics definitely aid in digestion. Now, probiotics also, of course, help with our immune system. They help to also reduce inflammation. So having the appropriate amounts is going to be beneficial. Now, everybody is different. Like every single person's body is different, and we all have our own unique microbiome, meaning that we might have some of the same cultures, but or the same types of bacteria, but my colonies might be way different than yours. I might have way more um, lactobacillus. You might have something else, right? And so our microbiomes are unique to us. When it comes to um, uh, I don't know why I can't think today. When it comes to supplementation, there are some people that probably can benefit from supplementing. There are some people who definitely need to consult their doctor before supplementing. So if you have had antibiotics recently, most times after antibiotics, your doctor is going to prescribe a probiotic. And the reason why is, think about it, antibiotics, they get rid of the bacteria, right? They're not smart enough to just target the bad bacteria. They get rid of some of the good bacteria too. So after taking a round of antibiotics, your microbiome is probably a lot more sensitive just because it doesn't have as many colonies of bacteria in it. And so they will prescribe a probiotic so that you can replace and replenish those good colonies of bacteria. And what's interesting is taking a round of antibiotics can make you more susceptible to getting sicker quicker if your microbiome isn't strong at that point. So that's why they offer the probiotic after. If you're having digestive issues overall, if your stomach is doing all of that at random times, if you are feeling bloated or distension, meaning that your stomach's kind of sticking out and it may feel a little hard. If you have a lot of constipation, gas, diarrhea, all of these, and you're having these things, and there aren't any other reasons why, like typically there are some reasons why, but if you can't really pinpoint a actual reason outside of your diet, then you probably need to think about considering probiotics. Another thing is for immune support. So again, it plays about 70 to 80% role in our immune system and our immune support in general. So if you are a person who's getting sick consistently, it's something to consider adding a probiotic into your daily routine. Now, you should consult with your doctor about it, really kind of in general, but specifically if you have medical conditions where you're already taking a lot of different medicines, because you just don't want things interacting with each other, as well as if you're immunocompromised. So if you have some like autoimmune disease, or your immune system is consistently weakened for some medical reason, then you probably want to talk to your doctor before you start a probiotic. All right, so now let's get into prebiotics. Now, prebiotics are typically going to be fiber, and these are the things that the bacteria eats. Okay, so bacteria, um, what's interesting about how our body was created is our body doesn't actually really break down fiber. We have soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, but our body really doesn't break it down, and it doesn't use it for energy. It helps to bulk up our stool because it passes through our digestion, not really being broken down, right? Our gut bacteria uses it as food. That's what they eat. So if you want to have a good microbiome or a good gut flora, having a bunch of different good varieties of bacteria, you definitely want to eat foods that are high in fiber. Fiber is going to feed those. Where can you find fiber? Plants and vegetables and fruits. So it's in some of everything. Whole grains. Whole grains specifically is going to be pretty high in fiber. And think about a whole grain. When you think about a whole grain, let's say you have a wheat berry, which is just, the little wheat berry. On the outside of it, you have what you call the bran. That's the brown part. What they do to make wheat that is bleached in white flour, they actually remove that brown part and it becomes white. And then they grind it down and they bleach it or whatever, and it's white flour, right? Whole wheat flour is brown because it still has that brown bran in it. Same thing with brown rice and white rice. Now, brown rice really don't have that much fiber in it, but wild rice does. So if you like wild rice, you definitely can get some good fiber from that. And it's the same principle. Rice itself, brown rice and white rice are the same thing. The main difference is brown rice has the bran on the outside, aka the fiber. Wild rice has the same thing, which is why it's even higher in fiber. The last thing that's going to be really high in fiber is beans. Beans have a lot of fiber. I had this whole crazy story where I was eating a sugar-free candy, which was super, super high in fiber, had about 26 grams. And then I ate some beans on top of that, red beans and rice to be exact. It was amazing. I made it myself. And when I tell you that that toilet will never be the same, it'll never be the same. It was a crazy 2 days. Literally the day after the fiber episode, I had a situation. I was, going on about my normal day, eating food, whatever. And then around lunchtime, I decided I wanted some candy. And so I didn't want, a lot of sugar that day or whatever. So I just got some lilies. Now, I already know about lilies. And if you don't know about lilies, lilies is a sugar alternative style candy. They do chocolates, gummy worms, gummy bears. And I think this day I got gummy worms, maybe sour ones. It has 27 grams of fiber per a little one serving bag. Now, as I told you last week, the serving size of fiber or the daily recommended amount should be about 25 to 30 grams a day. So we already in there. Now, normally I get about 25 to 30, somewhere between 25 and 40 grams a day. So perfectly fine with me. But on top of eating the lilies, I had already had some different vegetables and fruits that day. So my fiber content was even higher than just that 27 grams. And then I got in the group chat, y'all, and we was talking about different foods that we cooked and all of this stuff. Shout out to LNT. We was in the group chat talking about food. And I ended up saying, I want to cook some red beans and rice when I get home. And so I was very proud of myself. I don't cook red beans and rice from the can. It's got to be from scratch. But I did it in the Instant Pot. And I made it literally, boom, came home, washed my beans, Put them in an Instant Pot, put, turkey necks, smoked turkey necks in there, got some sausage. I mean, it was andouille sausage. It was perfect. One serving of beans is 16 grams. So if you already doing the math, we already had 26, 27 from the lilies. Then we got 16 grams from the beans. And I think I had probably about 2 servings. So that'll be about 32 grams. So at this point, we're at like 49 grams of fiber. That's before any of the fruits and the vegetables. By the time I was done, I was probably at about closer to like 80 something grams of fiber. Actually, I did my math wrong. That would be 59 grams of fiber. Yeah, so once I was done, I was at about like 80 grams of fiber. It was bad. It was so bad. It was bad for like 2 days. Like, I would go in the restroom, come out just long enough to make a joke with my wife, laugh about the fact that I did this to myself, only to run back to the restroom. Everything that was in me came out. Everything. I mean, there were probably things from when I was like a kid that came out. So you want to be careful not to overdo it, but beans have a lot of fiber. They have about 16 grams in them, typically somewhere around there. And within a day, you want to eat at least 25 to 30 grams. Guys, probably a little more, maybe 38. Ladies, somewhere in the 25 to 30 grams. And the more you get into it, the better. So you can always slowly increase that number. You just don't want to jump really quickly. Last thing I'll say about prebiotics is most Americans don't get enough fiber in general. It's estimated that 95% of us don't. So that's pretty much everybody. So this is just your friendly reminder to increase those vegetables, increase the fruits, and definitely increase the whole grains as well as the beans. Okay, not too quick though, because it will hurt. All right. In general, just some good gut friendly tips. You definitely want to diversify when you're eating plants, when you're eating fruits, vegetables, beans, things like that. If you're constantly eating the same type of vegetable, the same type of fruit, then you're only getting like a certain type of fiber. And there are different types of fibers. So you want to diversify. What we like to say in the dietetics community is eat the rainbow, right? So eat fruits and vegetables that are yellow, red, green, purple, blue, as many colors as you can get in, because the more variety you get a variety of fiber, but as an added bonus, you get a variety of vitamins and minerals. So definitely do the same thing with beans, same thing with whole grain items. Eat a variety. Make sure you're getting enough throughout the day. I always try to include something that is a whole grain or a bean with as many meals as possible. And you definitely want to try to include a fruit and a vegetable with each meal. You want to, if you can, incorporate fermented foods. So fermented foods are going to be high in those probiotics, those bacteria, right? So definitely, one thing that I like, believe it or not, is a ginger bug. I used to use it a lot. I don't use it as much anymore. But a ginger bug is literally, you chop up ginger, pour some water in, a little bit of sugar, and the bacteria from the ginger actually start to grow. It's good bacteria, and it starts to become bubbly, and you can take that ginger bug and make homemade ginger ale from it. So I used to do that. Another thing that I do to keep my fermented foods up is sourdough. Sourdough is a fermented dough, and so it has good gut bacteria. Kombucha is another one that's going to have good gut bacteria. Even unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother in it. Okay, the mother is a mix of yeast and bacteria, and they're, again, good for the body. You also want to drink plenty of water. If you're drinking all this or eating all this fiber, you definitely got to wash it down with some water, because it can become impacted. You can become constipated, basically. And don't nobody want, you want to go regularly. It's no fun when you're pushing and you're pushing as hard as you can to sit on the toilet for 30 minutes and waste your time, right? Because nothing comes out. No fun. So you definitely want to make sure you're drinking enough water. The last thing you want to do is limit ultra processed foods. I shouldn't have to explain this too much, but when we talk about ultra processed foods, these are things that are you can't really find them in nature, right? So chips, crackers, even like fast food, things like that, those are going to be ultra processed. You want to kind of limit those. Not to say don't have them at all, but you definitely want to focus on whole foods, foods that are, like you find them in nature, right? So vegetables, meats that are just regular meat, not necessarily deli meat, um, and things like that. Okay, beans, rice, all of that good stuff. I think that's everything. You also want to be mindful of the artificial sweeteners. So there's been some research out about artificial sweeteners and the microbiome. It's not necessarily definitive, but what that they negatively, well, how do I say this? It's not definitive that they cause death to the microbiome, but we do know that they negatively impact the microbiome. So you do want to be careful not to overdo it with the artificial sweeteners, as well as excessive alcohol that can also affect the microbiome in a negative way. All right, and that is everything on pre and probiotics and the microbiome. This is just the intro, right? There's so much more to be said, and so maybe we'll talk about this again. We probably will. And the next time we talk, we'll really kind of get in deeper into. All right, we're back with another segment of Chef Boy RDN Tries It. And for this segment, we are trying Dr. Brew Kombucha. Now, this was found at Kroger. I didn't do too much research. I do know that it's actual kombucha. The ingredients look really good. It has brewed tea, currant, oolong tea, elderberry, hibiscus, blueberry, goji, strawberry, raspberry, and this is their super berry mix. Okay, it does have culture in it, which is yeast and bacteria, and it's organic. That don't really mean too much to me, but it's organic nevertheless. So this is it has bacteria and yeast in it, and what they do is to make kombucha, it actually starts out as a tea. They normally use black tea. Oolong tea is one that they use a lot, and they introduce it to what they call a SCOBY. If you ever seen a SCOBY, it looks like a flat rubber jelly looking disc. And what it is it's a collection of yeast and bacteria that are kind of in this big symbiotic microbiome relationship. So it's active bacteria, it's active yeast in there, and they introduce the SCOBY. It ferments it. It actually starts to kind of turn it into vinegar, if you believe it or not. And so it has kind of a tangy taste to it. It don't taste like vinegar. Don't get it twisted. That's not what I'm saying. And it does have normally like a fizz, a natural fermented fizz to it. So let's open it up, see if we can hear the fizz. I'm not gonna shake it, but I am gonna kind of turn it upside down a little bit to make sure that I'm mixing if there's any sediment in the bottom. Okay, let's see. So I had a light fizz. Oh, there's some bubbles. I don't know if y'all can see the bubbles. But I have a love-hate relationship with kombucha, I'm gonna be honest. Some I really like, some I just can't stand. This one does have more of a vinegar smell, so I'm already a little skeptical, but let's give it a try. Um, you know, it's not it's not the worst I've had. It just tastes like watered down vinegar. This one does taste like vinegar. It tastes like watered down vinegar. I guess I can kind of taste the elderberry in there. I'm not really getting like berry flavor too much though. Let me try again. Yeah. It tastes like if you've ever taken like a apple cider vinegar, honey, or maple syrup and a little bit of water. That's what this tastes like. So yeah, that's kombucha. Definitely give it a try. It is full of probiotics. This one overall, I'm gonna give probably about a C minus. It's not for me. It's a little too vinegary for my taste. But some people love that. So definitely give it a try for yourself. See if you like it. It is an interesting drink, but it is a great way to get some good probiotics in there. So just give it a try. What's the worst that could happen? And now we are on to the vitamin of the week. So this week's vitamin, we are actually talking about zinc. Zinc is not a vitamin, it's a mineral, but zinc is super important. Zinc plays a vital role in the immune system. It also plays a role in helping to maintain the gut lining. Um, so it plays a role in our gut as well. Helps with skin health. It also helps with growth and development. As you can see, my notes in front of me. That's why I keep looking down. It helps with taste and smell, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory properties. It has, I guess I should say that better. It has antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. Um, and yeah, so those are all the main things it does. It also helps to reduce inflammation. I think I said that. Food sources, you can find it in pumpkin seeds, cashews, lentils, chickpeas, beef, whole grains. Excuse me, that kombucha is getting to me. You can also find it in dark meat, dark chicken, like chicken legs and chicken thighs. Excuse me, my goodness, this vinegar water is getting to me. Um, and then it's also found in oysters. Oysters are going to be super high in zinc. So if you're looking for a good way to boost your zinc quickly, eat some oysters. They're also an aphrodisiac and they help with a lot of other things. So just keep that in mind as well. Deficiencies. So with deficiencies, what you'll experience is frequent infections. You can also get slow wound healing because it does play a vital role in helping the speed of wound healing. Hair loss. Um, you'll lose your sense of smell and taste. Skin rashes that look like acne or eczema, diarrhea, and loss of appetite. Those are the things you'll experience with the deficiency. A lot of those things are kind of mimicked when you have a toxicity. So when you have a toxicity, you can experience nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps. So a lot of GI distress is what we call it. Headaches, loss of appetite, or metallic taste, like it'll taste like metal in your mouth. And you can also experience a copper deficiency because when you have high levels of zinc, copper isn't absorbed into our body because it binds and it creates this whole thing where it just doesn't get into our system. The last thing is it will actually lower your HDLs, which is the good cholesterol. It's the cholesterol we want. So you definitely don't want to have a toxicity. And that is everything on zinc. All right, so I want to thank you for spending the day with me today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Y'all get out here and try this. This one was on sale. It makes sense. It makes sense that it was on sale. We're gonna give it one more try. This one in particular is still a no for me, but y'all definitely go out there, try some kombucha if you're not a kombucha drinker. If you are, let me know which ones you like. If it's that one, I can't trust you. All right. But if it's another one, Synergy, I think is a big one. I think that's what it's called. But that's a common one that a lot of people like, and that one's pretty good. This one, hmm, but definitely go out, get some fermented foods. Try kefir. Try sourdough. I got a sourdough starter. I should have brought it in here. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So if you can't get with the taste of uh the kombucha, definitely try sourdough starter. This is mine. I've had it for over a year at this point, and I just feed it once a week. We could do a whole talk about that. I could tell you how to do it, as well as some recipes. But the point is to have good gut health, you need probiotics, whether they are natural, which I think is the route to go first, or you can supplement them. And you definitely got to have some prebiotics. Got to get those vegetables in, the fruits, the vegetables, nuts, grains, beans, lots and lots of beans. That's definitely going to increase that fiber intake. Do those things, and your body will really, really thank you. Like I said, it plays a big role in all of our different body systems. So you definitely want to make sure you're getting enough pre and probiotics throughout the day. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to send me a like, share it with your friends. Follow me at all of my different platforms. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at ChefBoyRD.N. As well as my podcast is on YouTube. It comes out every Wednesday at 12 p.m. And my podcast is pretty much everywhere you find your podcast, all platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music. You can find my podcast. It drops Wednesday at 6 a.m. These are both these are both Central Standard Times. I will talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a good day. Get you some kombucha, or better yet, start a sourdough starter, and let me know how it goes.